I tēnei wā, whakaaro hoki ki a rātou kua whitirangitia, nō reira haere, haere, haere o te atu. Welcome everybody, just welcoming everyone in the season of Wanga, which we celebrate here on the West Coast, acknowledging the rest of the country celebrating Matariki and the season where we also remember those who have passed in the last 12 months, and we reflect on their contributions to our lives and our wonderful rohe of Taranaki and around the motu, and making sure we take care of ourselves also on this season. We're supposed to be reflecting and resting, but there's not much of that going on, so kia haumaru tātou. Ngā mihi kia koe tuhia online, and we were starting today whānau with a deputation from Sam Judd, but he's running a bit late, so we'll just switch up the agenda, and we've decided to put Sam as our last item for the day to allow him time to arrive. So we have apologies from Dinny, from MPDC, and Grant from SDC. May I have a mover and a seconder for those? Susan and Donna, thank you. All in favour, please say aye. Kia ora. Health and safety message as per the agenda, page 3, and we'll move into confirmation of the minutes. Recommendations on page 4 that we take the minutes as read and confirm them, and we note the recommendations there within. May I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Jonathan and Craig. All in favour, please say aye. Against? That's carried. Kia ora tātou. Thank you, Anne, for popping up earlier. We'll hand it over to you for the item around the policy and planning update.
Cool. Kia ora koutou. Policy and planning. Just the regular update. It's quite short, as I'm sure you would notice. The main focus over the last month since we last spoke has basically been on spatial planning. Particularly, we are working on developing the evidence base for Taranaki's environmental context and trends. Basically drawing together existing information across land, freshwater, air, biodiversity, the coast, and marine natural hazards and climate change. You will notice that the agenda and minutes of the steering group were attached as part of the reporting process, which will happen through this committee. That meeting was largely introductory, and the main kind of action being that the chair and deputy chair were appointed. Jonathan Young being the chair, and Andy Beckard being the deputy chair. Also, I've noted that does contain an outline of the meeting dates and topics so that you can see what that program looks like, although of course it is subject to change as things evolve. So that's been the main focus. The land and freshwater program is still important, of course, and we continue to work on things while we wait for further national direction in the new legislation. We're still maintaining our regular program of Pātao engagement about policy matters in general, although the recent focus has been on mana whakahono arohe. So we're also monitoring the national changes, and there's some details in there about the latest in resource management reform and national environmental standards for pakakainga, and changes to national environmental reporting, which will have don't directly affect the regional council, but will sort of have flow-on effects in terms of data standards and priorities. So overall, we're maintaining useful policy development, building our evidence base, and staying ready to respond as we await with bated breath national direction, clarity.
Thank you, Anne. Do we, bated breath, do we have a potential time frame on bated breath?
Well, the 20th of July is the select committee report date. And I still think, what is it, late September prediction?
For it being passed.
Yeah.
Sorry, through you, Chair. And we've also heard that we might see some draft national direction before the acts are even passed in August. TBC though on that one.
Okay, so bated breath, lots of bated breath. Any comments or questions? No. Leader?
I had a question, thank you, through you, Chair. And there is a mention in the report around working on an internal framework. Pretty sure it was in relation to primary industries. Could you just give me a little bit more information about what that means?
That means that we are looking at the work that we have been developing. We were developing for the Land and Water Plan, and we are looking at the direction that was taking us, and we are compiling information about best practice in relation to those things, and we're looking at the opportunity to say, to stock take where we're at operationally, and put that together. It's not a plan. I guess that's why one of the reasons. It's a framework for operating. So it's an interim measure of making sure that we are using the information we have to inform our everyday operations.
Thank you. And just one more, if I may.
Sure.
In the table of things to do on fish passage, I see that there was like a priority action around working on the Taranaki Regional Council action plan to do with fish passage. And I was just wondering about engagement with the farming community in making that action plan. There's Federated Farmers, obviously, Taranaki catchment communities, what that might look like, because it is a big, there is a lot of culverts, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of money, and yeah, the more working together would be really helpful. So I was just wondering what that, if there was any timeframes around that, or if there was some plan of action around that.
It's a very big, as you're aware, fish passage is a very big job, and we have existing responsibilities around that. What we're trying to do is make sure that we're starting from the middle, which is making sure that we're all aligned to TRC, and so that's the starting point. And logically, of course, particularly as we get more national direction, we'll be working outwards to make sure that we're making the most progress we can on a very difficult area. But yeah, the intent is, it's a little bit unclear because of the legal context is changing. But we're starting from the middle and working out, and with the idea that we collaboratively work out how to get the most bang for our buck and actually make a difference in terms of fish passage.
Great, thank you.
And through you, Madam Chair, some preliminary work has occurred with catchment communities on a couple of smaller weirs to test out matters, and they've been very positive. Donna Graham may wish to comment about that too.
No, I think they've been working a bit on consenting and how we can, some, I guess, pathways around consenting and what needs a consent and what doesn't for fish passage. And we've just, TCC has just employed someone to help with this with education and action. So, there's a bit of work going on there.
So, through you, Madam Chair, consenting is whether you need one or not to take it out.
And what the pathway is really, and how we can make that happen. Yeah, so there's some good stuff happening. But Paul needs to talk to Feds later.
Right, thank you. Tuhiao and then Jonathan.
Just good to see the development that's happening around the spatial plan and that work. Just got a couple of questions around, so on page 51, it talks about a hui on the 18th of August, and part of the agenda is engaging with iwi authorities. I just wanted to check that it's not just iwi authorities, because it's like some of our whānau still see that as just to do with the settlement, post-settlement governance. So, and our understanding under the RMA is it's still not just confined to iwi. And also on page 35, page 53, it talks about there being 3 iwi reps, and I could see in the minutes there's only 2, Graham and Mitch. I'm just wondering if there's a third one and what the appointment process is for that person, or those 3.
Fimba?
Sorry, through you, Chair. To your first question about the 18th of August, the reason why that says iwi is because it's very focused on the provisions that the bill set out that need to go into the process agreement, and that is all about iwi. The text of the process agreement provisions is that you need to talk about how you will uphold existing treaty settlements and Manawaka Hono Orohi and JMAs, and then also specifically how throughout the process the 4 councils will consult with iwi. So that's why we've focused there to start with. There's that paper that's still in development. The approach to hapu engagement is still to be worked through in this process. To your question around 3 EREPs, yes, so that was an apology and a calendar issue on our side. The third iwi rep on that committee is Anaru Marshall.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Can you just tell us a bit more about how they were appointed? Like, is it based on the 3 waka, or is it from the iwi chairs? Or
they were appointed by the iwi reps themselves. We invited through them to nominate their reps through their resource management rohi.
Yeah, so I'd probably give a brief update to you. We took it to the iwi chairs forum with the Te Tōpuni Ngārahu Trust meeting, and it was agreed at that forum that the RM Reform Group, who was myself, Graham and Anaru, would be the representatives on that committee.
Nice choice, by the way. I was just wondering if I could ask another thing more about the agenda. Just wondering if we could have an update on the hui that happened yesterday with the 4 councils around the local government reform, perhaps later on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, Chair. It's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Are we able to add it? Sorry, I was too slow at the beginning of the hui.
You're just looking for yesterday, the hui last night, to Hiao.
Yeah. Just a quick verbal update.
Well, we haven't really, those of us who were there haven't had the chance to sort of summarise and cohesively come together with any, we didn't even get a chance to talk afterwards, to be honest. If you can give us some time to come back with some thoughts around our assessment of that hui, would that be appropriate? Would that be okay? Because we didn't even hardly see
I
each
guess
other.
I'm just curious, were any iwi reps able to make it?
There were no iwi reps, but there were some of us iwi Māori ward councillors in the room. Myself and Cheryl were there.
Denny.
Oh, cool.
Denny, but Denny is whānau, but there were no iwi reps at that particular hui. So yeah, if you just give us some time to have just maybe a little coalesce as to our assessment of what the hui may have come out with last night. He pai?
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Kia ora. Ngā mihi. Jonathan, what's you next?
Just to make some comments that the Resource Management Reform Committee has met now twice, and I think we're getting high quality papers presented to us and discussions taking place. It's one of the functions that all of the region has to be involved in, so I'm pleased to report that I think it's making good progress, and looking forward to diving deeper into things when we get that information coming from Wellington ASAP, I think. Thanks.
Kia ora, Jonathan. Any other comments or queries regarding this agenda item?
Just a comment I made at the last meeting, Chair. I think we're in a position of hurry up and wait, which is not good, but it's where we've been sat as a reality.
So that bated breath means we can still breathe in the middle, right?
Yeah,
Just holding our breath. Ka pai, thank you. If that's the case, then if we can have a mover and a seconder for the recommendations on page 9, that we receive the memo and note the progress.
Yes.
Have a mover, Jonathan, seconder. Thank you, Phil. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? That's carried. Kia ora. Welcome, Sam. If it's okay with you, we've only got a very small agenda today, so we can work through our business and then we'll come back to you to close our meeting if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Kia ora. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Ian. Next on the agenda is the submission on the Conservation Amendment Bill. All yours again.
Okay, so this paper was about seeking retrospective endorsement of the submission on the Conservation Amendment Bill. Originally had a 2nd of July deadline. We discovered after we submitted that there was a 2-week extension. Thank you very much. And in addition, though, if there are further comments, because we got our submission in on time, we can provide further comments to the Select Committee. So the proposed changes are quite significant. It's about, streamlining processes and more focus on economic use of conservation land. There were also some treaty-related decision-making requirements which have changed. The submission that was made supports the intent to modernise, but seeks stronger safeguards in relation to the economic use of conservation land, and also more consideration of local context and also treaty settlement arrangements. In summary, that's what's in the paper. A draft submission was circulated on the 27th of June, and the issues raised are outlined in the paper and how we address them. A particular concern was about the proposed land exchange and disposal provisions, and FINBAR assisted and organised some GIS analysis, which did indicate that the provisions were likely to have limited direct impact in Taranaki, but nevertheless the submission supported the wider concerns. And I'm sure, as you're all aware, the Minister obviously got a fair amount of feedback and has walked back those provisions already, which is a good outcome. The submission also responded to concerns about treaty obligations, the proposed new foray and transitional arrangements for treaty settlement redress. Basically, it's a similar kind of approach that the RMA, they're heading in the same direction, same kind of idea where it supports process rather than outcomes. So a key local point was it wasn't really clear about how Te Topuni Kokorangi and Te Topuni Ngarahu, in terms of how they were going to be considered in relation to Papakura o Taranaki and Hekawa Ora. So that was an area which we thought was unclear, and we encouraged them to actually ensure that they engage with iwi on that. Just noting that Sean Zelch will be coming to address the committee about Hekawa Ora in relation to Papakura o Taranaki at the next meeting. That's the management plan for the Maunga. So endorsement is recommended because the bill raises matters important to the region and iwi partners, and as I said, any additional comments can be recorded and also submitted to the committee at this stage.
Kia ora. Thank you, Anne. Any comments or questions regarding the submission? Just before Tuhiao, I just want to mihi to those of you who managed to get feedback in on time for what was an on-time submission, which has been extended. Is there now provision for anyone else who might like to offer some additional feedback, or is it past now, the opportunity to offer additional feedback?
No, my understanding when I actually clarified this by ringing them up, having made a submission, we can follow up with comments. In fact, I don't think that she indicated a time frame, but obviously as in a timely way would be a good thing.
So if there were any committee members who wanted to provide additional feedback, do you want to give us a deadline, Anne, to get back to you?
Well, I would say a week, but I guess the question is whether that raises any issues in terms of further circulation of that.
So perhaps having a conversation with you by Friday?
By Friday would be good.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So if anyone else has got any other additional comments or questions or queries by Friday, Finbar?
Through you, Chair, there were issues with the approval of the submission. So the paper before you is seeking endorsement of the submission today.
As it is.
Yeah, so it would be very difficult for us to,
So,
from a process perspective, I'm not quite sure how we get the sign out for those changes.
We've
if
all
have comments today in terms of raised in this meeting, we can action them with a delegated authority to Steve to tidy it up, which is what we usually do. But it would be tricky if we got comments after this meeting to integrate them and still get everything signed off properly.
We'd have to come back to a special council meeting or special committee meeting. And with all due respect, you've had 2 goes at this now.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. If we endorse today, endorse the submission as has been provided to central government. And does anyone have anything else they'd like to raise or say, or are we happy with the submission? Tuhia, I'll come to you.
Yeah, I'm actually happy about the submission. As I just had a question, because when I saw the maps that had been created around which areas might be up for sale and which might be up for mining, there was possible mining in the Kaitaki range, and a lot of the Eastern Hills area was in that red zone, or possible. So, and then I see your comment around the stewardship area is already 60-something%. So I'm just curious, is mining possible in the Kaitaki, and is the Eastern Hills that stewardship area?
I commissioned that analysis.
Yes, please, Finbar. Thank you.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Yes, so the vast majority of that conservation land in the Eastern Hills is stewardship area, so it's already eligible for disposal under the Conservation Act. Some of those maps that went around publicly didn't really distinguish between the stuff that you can already sell. But so for Taranaki, when we ran the numbers on the particular categories of reserve land that would be eligible for sale under the change that aren't now, it was fairly limited to a couple of, well, not a couple, but not much. As for whether mining would be permitted on the Kaitakis, I think it would strike me as highly unlikely. The structure in the bill still requires that the economic benefits are, I can't remember the exact language, but the conservation, you can't basically mess with the conservation status, and that's quite important conservation land. And some of the wording we proposed around changing, in the submission around changing some of those clauses early in the bill was to emphasise the point that those conservation values still come first. So it's around, sure, realise economic benefits, but where they uphold those conservation values. It would be very difficult to see a situation in a place as biologically and conservation important as the Kaitaki is that economic rationale would stand up.
So elevating the environmental status in the hierarchy, that's the most important. Okay.
And the Kaitakis are in the national park area, am I correct? Is that, yes? So therefore you've also got Te Topuni Kokorangi that has a heavy role, or very significant role in approving the new, I was going to say, it's not national park plan, it's regional plan, isn't it now? That will become under the legislation. So there'd be some pretty tall hurdles to be overcome through that process, I would have thought.
So we can, it's possible, but we can hope highly, highly improbable. Is that what we're putting it down to? Okay, ka pai. Okay, Tuhia? Lovely, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Was there someone over? Phil, did you have your hand up? Any other comments or questions regarding this item? So can we then take it that we are accepting the submission as has been submitted, and there won't be any additional thoughts or comments or discussion points post this meeting? Yep. Thank you. And that, thank you, Craig. Happy to move. Is Nova seconder? Thank you, John. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? That's carried. Well done, team. Thank you for all the hard work that went into that, and thanks again to those who contributed to that submission refinement. Oh, are we at the end?
Back to Sam.
Yay, back to Sam. Sam, if you'd like to join us, a seat at the end there. And Liesl will load up your presentation. Sam, we note it's a very long presentation. No, don't come to the table, up to the front here. But if you can, keep it to 10 minutes for your presentation, 5 minutes for questions. And if it's okay with you, can we circulate the slides to the committee members afterwards?
Sure.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Okay, kia ora whānau, ko Remi Taka nā pai maunga, ko tawa kairangi tawa, a ko te whanganui a Tara Te Moana, ko Tamaki Makaru te kāinga I ngā iane. Hari kua taku nākau ki te haere mai ki te tautoko o te kaupapa o te rā, Sustainable Coastlines. He whakamihi atu ki ngā tipuna nei, he whakamihi atu ki ngā mana whenua nei. Nā mihi ki a koe, Taranaki whānui. He whakamihi atu ki ngā kaitiaki o Taranaki nei. He hua tau pui pui o te moana hau, he hua tau pui pui o ngā awa hau, he hua tau pui pui o te nahere hau. Ko Sam toku ingoa. I'm Sam, I'm from Sustainable Coastlines. I've worked now for 18 years, working to stop plastic from getting into the ocean and to improve water quality through running large-scale events and education programs. We're all about, that's going to work. So since we started, over 190,000 people have removed more than 1.8 million litres of rubbish from our coastlines. I've also delivered presentations kind of similar to this to over 250,000 people. To give you an idea of what 1.8 million litres looks like, you've all probably been unfortunate enough to visit Auckland where I live. I'm from Wellington, I would rather be here, but the Sky Tower is New Zealand's tallest building. It's mainly made of concrete. There's 1.5 million litres of concrete in that building. So 1.8 starts to give you an idea of how much volume that actually is. Where does it come from? We realised a long time ago that the same rubbish that was landing on beaches was coming out of stormwater drains and coming out of rivers. So we pretended that we worked for Auckland Council and went down Queen Street, which is where this drain photo is from, and ripped the rubbish out of the drains. That's one single drain in Auckland. Back then, in about 2010, there was 400,000 drains in Auckland City. Now there's far, far more because of development, right? Where does this rubbish go if we don't stop it from going in the drains? Well, it ends up getting eaten by wildlife. And even more seriously, this photo's from overseas. This one here is from New Zealand. That's a pied oyster catcher, a native New Zealand bird. But in all seriousness, the main reason why I've dedicated my life to this cause is because of this. We are poisoning ourselves by letting rubbish get into the ocean. Anyone who eats fish should think about this. The ocean provides more than 30% of the protein for the human race through one method or another. So most of you guys would probably know about this issue, but where we've got to now is, since auditing rubbish and drains, we decided to take it to the next level in terms of understanding what's going on with regards to data, so that we can deliver action. The head of the United Nations said this: we cannot improve what we do not measure. So we built a program called Litter Intelligence to monitor litter going into the ocean, both in stormwater drains and in rivers and on the beaches themselves. Now, this is the Policy and Planning Committee. Where our strategic focus is right now is on two key areas. One is construction and the other is schools. So one is like a short-term, medium-term kind of thing we can do, and the other is a long-term effort to change behaviour and reduce the amount of litter that's being dropped on the ground, essentially. So in the construction sector, it's more than 40% of all of our waste sent to landfill. This photo looks like a Taranaki beach with a bit of foam coming on it, but it's not. It's polystyrene. Almost all the townhouses that are being built have these polystyrene slabs being put into the floor. There is no regulation about how these things get cut. I've seen people cut them with a saber saw in a high wind. If you imagine what that looks like, it's like a snow globe all over the street. This is Auckland, in South Auckland, where you've got these massive developments going on. And I'm not trying to compare that place to here. I'm just trying to give you a picture of what this actually looks like and what it can look like out in these areas that are getting consent. Now, I'm not a lobbyist, I'm not a political man, and I'm not here telling you guys what to do. I'm showing you guys some solutions that can work for you to make your own decisions upon. So we decided long ago we wouldn't lobby for policy. We work on the ground, we work in the drains, and we work to collect data to show whether or not policy is effective. Policy is one type of intervention. Another one is like education. Another one is public awareness campaigns. And another one is infrastructure. And another one is actually product design. And I've actually found a product that can replace this that is far, far better. As an example, there's different types of interventions, and policy is one of them. So we wanted to prove that this was what was happening. So we did a pilot study up in Auckland. We put 2 drain filters into 2 different sites, one that had completed the construction and another one that was active. It was very clear, these are the drain filters, that's me in a lovely pink high-vis, pulling the rubbish out of the drains in front of a construction site and in a place where there wasn't much. Well, sorry, where the construction had finished. Dramatic difference, more than 3 times the amount of items, and that's in the space of 1 month that had gone into the one where there was active construction. Very clear what's going on here. There is rubbish escaping from construction sites. What's really interesting though is that is easily preventable. The same device also reduces a huge amount of sediment. We use a 200 micron mesh within those drain traps, which actually reduces kilos of sediment. Far more effective than the resource consent conditions that involve like a sock with some gravel or sand in it. When it rains heavily, all the mud just pours over those socks anyway. This is a bit further down in the trap. So moving back home here for you guys to Taranaki, we've actually had a really good engagement process here with a number of different community groups and schools doing litter intelligence surveys on the coast. So that map shows you the areas where we've done it. Over 100 surveys and over 1,000 volunteer hours have been put in this region, which is actually really cool. So we've got a baseline with a whole series of data of what's going on in the coastal area and where this could go is start moving maybe towards the drains. This is going to get shared with you guys, so you don't have to try and read all the little details, but these are the different areas and community groups in the last time that we went and ran litter intelligence here. Because of that work, it actually created some really solid action, which is the whole idea. You get data from the litter, you create insights off that data, and then you deliver action. So a bunch of school students here went and found that there was a whole bunch of shotgun wads in Taranaki, and then they took that to the media, and they solved the mystery of the shotgun wads, and then they worked really collaboratively with shooters, with farmers, to actually change the way that they were using those products, because a lot of shotgun wadding was landing on the coastlines right around the whole region. So that's kind of a specific example of it working. These days we're now taking this also into schools. So this is just another pilot study. Again, the detail can go into the minutes for you guys to have a look at if you want, or you can hit me up for any more detailed insight. This is what we've been doing in 6 schools up in Auckland, where we've got 4 that we're running interventions in, and 2 where we're doing nothing at all. So that's like a control group. So we can work together with community groups, with different people who are already working in schools, and go, what might work to change behaviour, and then use this evaluation system to prove whether or not it's working. We believe that this is going to become something that is going to move right across the country, and we believe that we're going to do a big pilot study up in Auckland with a whole bunch of experts from the construction sector, and we're gauging interest to start looking at these drain filters as something that could be, one, put into resource consent like conditions on construction, because it's a no-brainer. Every construction site can put one of those things in. They can actually remove them and reuse them. part of my idea is to actually retail them through Hirepool, which is one of our partners. And the big thing that I wanted to say to you guys, in September, International Coastal Cleanup Day, we're coming here to run a large-scale coastal cleanup event. We're looking for support, we're looking for promotion, we want to take it around any schools of the whole region that are keen. We'll come and run educational presentations with them. We'll see if they want to become citizen scientists with litter traps. And we will look at, we're raising the funds to take 5 buses to go and hit areas of the coastline, run a large scale event with a whole bunch of schools on a Friday, and then another large scale event with volunteers on the Saturday, or maybe the Sunday, I think. So it's a Friday and a Sunday event. And we'll keep like a Monday as a bad weather backup. You always need that. So I'm here promoting this as well. This is just an example of the last one we did with Hirepool. They're an important partner of ours. And we're looking for any ideas, any support, any connections with schools, with community groups, with anyone who might be keen to help, to come along and do it big and do it professionally and give the region some love. So that's basically what I wanted to come here and talk about. Now, I've done this a little bit before with Craig at the surfing contest, and we've done quite a few events here over the years, like I showed you before. There are some existing really deeply engaged schools and community groups already, and we'd like to extend that because I think you guys are really proud here. You've got an opportunity with this little bit of love that's coming in September to look at, what might happen beyond that. I'll be quite happy to come back and show you in person the device that we're talking about for the drains. If that's something you're interested in, I'm happy to answer any questions. So thank you very much for having me. Was that 10 minutes?
That was pretty close. Thank you, Sam.
I know I was talking real quick, but...
Appreciate that. So you've got the South Taranaki Mayor in the room. You've got iwi reps.
Kia ora.
You've got the Federated Farmers rep. You've got representatives from the whole rohe and our staff, obviously. So I'm sure between our networks we can help get the word out there. But is there anything in particular that you have identified that this council can particularly help with, or is it a general public awareness?
Well, I mean, the thing with us, like, we're limited in what we can invest in as a charity. Like, it's the hardest possible time to be a charity in any space, let alone in the environmental space. In 18 years, it's never been this hard. So I want to go massive and be able to go and deliver services to every school in this whole region. But we can't do that without additional support. Like, we're aiming for 5 schools. We're looking for buses. Maybe there's some farmers around who might be able to help us put on a feed. I mean, we've done this sort of stuff before, and like any in-kind donations are as good for us as funding. But the more buses we get and the more schools we get and we pull them all together, our idea is to send them to a beach and then bring them all together for a huge feed and a big kind of celebration, which I think the kids would really love. They like to, meet their own peers and stuff together. And when people do that, after doing something positive for themselves and for the planet, and then they connect, it's a very, very special kind of moment when everyone's kind of on that same page, in a way. Yeah, so anything, buses, it could be meat, it could be barbecues, it could be promotion, I mean, and I'm up for ideas again. I'm not here telling you guys what to do. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to get as many people as we can and pick up as much rubbish as we can and celebrate that effort as a wider group.
So any publicity that we send out from council can include the call for other contributions and for direct contact with you, Sam?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? The bus driver in the room, will go to you first.
If I may, thank you very much for your work you're doing on our coastline and in New Zealand. It's well appreciated. One thing I thought with the school program, there's a great Enviro Schools program that runs really strong in Taranaki, run out of here. So I think would be a really good contact with regard to a school wanting to put their hand up and help, because they are well in that space already and achieve well and beyond most of us could ever dream of. So the Enviro Schools would probably be a really good contact in this area. And I'm sure the managers of the Enviro School program will be able to point you in that direction. Thank you very much for your work you're doing.
And you might just know some bus companies, right, Alan?
I might do.
There we go.
Probably put the word out.
Thank you, Neil.
Yes, well, I'd like to congratulate you on the work you're doing too. One of the things you have highlighted in your talk to us is that there are particular things that can cause trouble. So, for example, you've identified the overflow from polystyrene and construction. And you've also highlighted the fact that by research people discovered a significant matter with regards to shooting and the wads and what have you, and that's been in the newspapers. Often with these kind of problems, it seems like there are particular things rather than general just people dumping and so forth. There's always that kind of thing. But we'd hope that when you're doing your research, you may turn up some more smoking guns, you might say, or particular industries, particular things that we can identify with and maybe do something about. So I hope I'm saying really, we're asking you to be particular rather than general in the end.
I think that's a really, really good point, and thank you, Neil. Sorry, I took overlook. I'm really keen to get as much insight as we can out of this effort. If we were to go back to that slide which shows the existing sites, so we started by getting this baseline, if you don't mind, just because that's like really localised and will be possibly quite relevant for everyone here. I think it's slide number 23. But what we've got here is a baseline, right? And an evaluation tool is only helpful if you're using it to prove the effectiveness of an intervention. So what we're doing right now strategically is being brave and delivering interventions. So doing things like running intensive education in one catchment and monitoring what's going on in the stormwater drains and down the coastline in that catchment, and then doing nothing in a comparable catchment to gauge how effective that intervention was. Another type of intervention is removing all the bins from the parks, right? And if you do that in one park and then monitor what's going into the drains, and then you don't do it in another park, then you work out what's happened by removing the bins. I think sometimes people don't look at that empirical data like it's a bit grunty and a bit messy and smelly working in the drains, but it is proof of what's happened. So I'm really keen, like we're happy to talk more about ideas that you guys might have in terms of delivering interventions. In the meantime, with regards to this baseline data, we would be quite capable of pulling together some more detailed insights as to what's going on in these different areas. Coming back to the drain filters, the difference between a drain filter and a coastal survey is significant, because a drain filter can be attributed to a particular population. Like in a schoolyard, that schoolyard is pretty much just those school kids that are in there, right? And like at a construction site, it's basically just the construction site that's impacting that area. Whereas, you know, there's currents swirling around, there's rubbish coming out of Whanganui River, and then, you know, a southerly wind's going to punch that up onto Opunaki and stuff like that. So being more targeted and more clever about it, I think is really key, like to identify those smoking guns. For me, the smoking guns is actually the shield. It's actually the solution. Like we can find the problem, but then we need to like get a really good brains like around this room and go, okay, here's a problem like shotgun wadding. What can we do? Like, could we go and do an education program through Federated Farmers Network or something like that? And then show that it's made a change and then celebrate that change. So I'm happy to provide as many insights as we can for you guys. And, you know, with a bit of extra help, we could look at more detailed audits of the rubbish that we collect in September using the same system and do some comparisons. But yeah, look, we're available and we're keen. And look, I love this place. I'm a surfer from way back. I've been coming here for years and enjoying these coastlines. So it feels good for me to be able to give something back to.
Kia ora, thank you. We'll just take a couple of final questions from Phil and then Tuhiao to round us out.
Thank you, Chair. Sam, good on you coming to Taranaki with it and bringing it for us, because we're no different than anywhere else. We do have mess on our coastline. Just thinking, I certainly hope we can get schools behind the thing for September. I think it sounds exciting. But just sometimes the logistics, when you talk about all coming together, for us in South Taranaki, we've got 160 kilometres of coastline. Yeah. So we've got a fairly big area before we get into North Taranaki as well. But I mean, that's nothing insurmountable that we couldn't talk about and do. if we can get something like this, because I think it would be a real eye-opener and awareness to a lot of our people, just what is ending up in the ocean. And it's pretty sad when you see what the fish and the birds are dealing with.
Well,
so thank you.
You're welcome, Phil. And look, I'd say, like, it doesn't have to be one single idea. Like, what I've got support for is to do one particular thing. But we'd be quite happy to extend that, do another week and come down your hood and do something similar there, because we love it. I like the idea of also using it as an opportunity for gauging whether or not schools would be keen to get involved in monitoring their drains. Because that's not us monitoring their drains. We only do that on the control groups. For the ones where we're doing interventions, we teach the kids how to do the monitoring, and they're doing statistics and spreadsheets and learning like maths, STEM skills. They're learning about overland water flows and architecture and engineering and stormwater.
So the kids become the scientists.
They become citizen scientists. That's the whole idea. So we run training for those schools, and an event could be an opportunity for us to go, hey, who wants to do this?
Thank you. Tuhia, online.
Yeah, kia ora, Sam. Love the work that you and the team do. Great to see you still doing it. Just wanted to say that I work for Sustainable Taranaki with the Te Ara Tai team. So we've got about 9 to 10 schools on the coast that would be really keen to help out. And also hapu groups that might be keen as well. I just got a question around your drain filters. So we have a lot of issues around flooding. Is it easy, like, I guess my concern is that would it clog up the drains and cause more flooding, or what's the process around cleaning them out and that kind of thing?
That's a really good question. So they're proven not to impact flooding. They actually reduce significant amounts of matter that does clog drains, especially when they're emptied. So it reduces a lot of sediment and a lot of organic matter, which stops a lot of nutrients and sediment from going into waterways. But they've proven once they fill up, the water just pours over the top. So there's a way for it to, like, it doesn't actually block it. It actually reduces blockage, because instead of that debris dropping down into the bottom of the catchment of the catch pit, it holds it above the bottom of the catch pit. So up until that's completely full, it's stopping a hell of a lot from clogging the system itself. And that's been proven like heaps and heaps, otherwise they wouldn't be able to actually use them. And I can provide more detailed information about that as well if you guys like.
So in the first instance, thank you, Sam, really appreciate that kōrero on the work you do for our taiao and our moana and our awa. In the first instance, we will get your slides circulated to the committee as well. Are you open to having the slides available on the website? Is that something that we might be able to facilitate as well, Steve? Sure. Part of the comp?
Yeah, well, it'll go up there anyway with policy committee's agenda and this, so that'll go up on the website anyway.
And perhaps connecting him with our comms teams as well to make sure we get the right messages out there in terms of helping promote. And really encouraging anyone who's got anything to offer, anything to contribute, to also do that. Craig.
Sam, thanks for coming along. It feels like 10 years since I last saw you, and we both had a hell of a lot more hair back then. I've been working with Sam since about 2015 when we were running all those surf festivals, and the team, and I just really vouched for the work. It's great to see you still have so much passion for it, and that is evolving, which is fantastic. Just please stay a bit longer, stay for lunch. It's not too far away, and that'll be a good chance for people to actually catch up with you then as well. And along with the PowerPoint, maybe just make sure that your email address is on it, so others can contact you.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm quite happy for my contacts to be shared with anyone. It can go on the website. It's all available anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And thanks for your time.
Kia ora. Thanks for coming down. Enjoy the surf. I'm sure you'll find some somewhere around the moment.
It'll probably be down Phil's zone, I think.
Nō reira, I rangi tērā ka mihi atu kia tātou. So thank you everybody for your contributions today, for our manuhiri. And I just want to take this time to recognise Liam. I understand this is your last hui on PMP. So recognising your contributions over the time as well, and making me reflect on this little kōtiro who used to go to Kohanga and Manaia, so I'm feeling a bit aged at the moment, but thank you, Liam, for your time, your efforts, your insights and your inquisitiveness in making sure that you understand what's going on. Really appreciate it and the service you have done for your community. Kia ora. Liam will be replaced by Nick, who I also understand sits on Ops and Regs as well. So all power to you going forward.
Thank you, Belinda.
With that, we're closing the meeting, not with karakia. We have the joint management agreement signing coming up with Ngāti Maru. So we'll just do some shuffling of the room. Because we'll be bringing, do we want to close the meeting formally?
Yeah, we can do that.